There have been so many surprises in the bubble so far. The Phoenix Suns are 5-0, the Milwaukee Bucks lost against Brooklyn, the Rockets are playing surprisingly well. It's just been incredibly fun to watch. The biggest surprise out of them all though has to be TJ Warren. On the 2019 NBA draft night, Warren was traded from the Phoenix Suns to the Indiana Pacers for cash considerations, which is absolutely ridiculous considering he was a 20 points per game scorer. He played very well for Indiana throughout this season before the suspension, averaging 19.6 points per game, 4.2 rebounds, and shooting 53.5% from the field and almost 40% from 3, which is amazing. In the Orlando bubble though, this has spiked incredibly, with Warren now averaging 34.8 points per game and is shooting 61.4% from the field in his time in the NBA restart. So, how good is TJ Warren actually? With these recent phenomenal performances, it feels as if people aren't sure where to rank him or really know just how good he is. In today's video, I'm going to be taking a look at TJ Warren's 5 bubble games so far, his impact on Indiana, where he ranks amongst players in his position, and then finally, where he ranks across the entire NBA. Before we start, if you're new here and enjoy the video, please be sure to subscribe for more NBA content like this. I'm trying to hit 10,000 subscribers, so all support would be greatly appreciated. Anyway, with that all being said, let's talk about TJ Warren. TJ Warren is an elite shooter and off-ball player, is a solid defender, and very hard worker on the court. As I mentioned earlier, he has been great this season, averaging 19 points for the Pacers and shooting extremely efficiently. In the bubble though, as I also mentioned, Warren has shocked everyone and had major improvements, shooting 8% better and is scoring 15 more points per game. Though the sample size is small, only 5 games, it's still great to see from Warren. In those 5 games, Warren has scored 53 points on 69% shooting efficiency, where he came up clutch in a late comeback against Philadelphia, a 34-point double-double, a 32-point game with a field goal percentage in the 70s, a 16-point game, and finally a 39 where he hit the dagger to seal the game. In these 5 games, the Pacers have gone 4-1, with their only loss being to the undefeated Suns, who locked TJ up as he only scored 16 points. What makes this stretch of games even crazier for the Pacers and Warren is that Indiana lost their arguably best player to injury just before the season restarted in Sabonis, so with him gone, things looked bleak for the team. Me personally, I thought Indiana would struggle a lot with Sabonis gone and Oladipo out of form due to rust, so this recent output from TJ Warren has been simply amazing. It's kept their season alive. So, with this all being said, how good is TJ Warren actually? Firstly, I'm going to compare him to players that play his position, the small forward spot, to see where he ranks amongst them before moving on to where he ranks in the entire NBA. Firstly, let's look at small forwards. TJ Warren is obviously not better than LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, Kevin Durant, Chris Middleton, and I'd even chuck in Brandon Ingram and Tobias Harris. They are all players I personally view as being better than Warren quite comfortably. Obviously, this 5-game stretch from Warren has been elite, but it doesn't compensate for the earlier parts of this season and last couple seasons, where I can say that the guys I just mentioned are clearly better. The only somewhat debatable one in there, in my opinion, is Tobias Harris, just because Harris hasn't been great this season on Philadelphia, but this debate isn't just centered around this season, which is why I am placing him above Warren quite comfortably. For players that Warren is easily better than, guys like Gordon Hayward, Joe Ingles, etc., I think Warren is better than. If I'm taking one to start a team with, it's Warren, so that's why I have him over these guys quite easily, to be honest. Now, this is where the debate on how good he really is starts to heat up, as this is where things are a lot closer. I'm going to compare Warren to players who I believe are on a very similar level and explain my reasoning for who I believe is better. The first player I want to compare TJ Warren to is Kelly Oubre. Kelly Oubre broke out this season on the Phoenix Suns, averaging 18.7 points per game, 6.4 rebounds, and shot decently overall, and he has been the offensive weapon the Suns have been searching for to help take some of the offensive load off of Booker. Oubre is out for the season now with an injury and won't participate in the bubble, but from what I've seen from him these last couple seasons, he's probably a top 5 underrated player in the league and has been key for the Suns this season. Is he better than TJ Warren though? Honestly, it's close. Both players are great scorers off the ball and are good shooters. Both are in similar roles on their teams, but I have to give this one to TJ Warren. Warren is averaging more points, is shooting way better, and if anyone is to pop off on a given night, I have to say it's more likely than not going to be Warren. Also, the Pacers are a much better winning side. They're close to a home court seed right now, and the Suns are only a small chance to force the play-in tournament. So due to his impact on his team's success, his better stats, and shooting splits, I have to hand this one to TJ Warren. The next player I want to compare Warren to is Bojan Bogdanovic from the Utah Jazz. Bogdanovic has been great this season for Utah, averaging over 20 points per game and has shot an elite 41% from three-point range. Bogdanovic is another underrated NBA player, but is now beginning to make a name for himself thanks to his clutch shooting this season, which has led to at least 3 game winners. Is he better than TJ Warren though? Again, it's very close, but I'm leaning towards Bogdanovic just because of how consistent he's been over his last couple seasons and how important he's been for Utah. Don't get me wrong, Warren is equally as good in my opinion, and you could agree he's more skillful, but I still feel as if Bogdanovic is better. It's basically even for me. I can't split them. If I have to choose, I'm going Bogdanovic, but let me know your thoughts on this below, as it's basically a tie for me. So in my opinion, TJ Warren is around the 7th or 8th best small forward in the league currently. But what about across the entire NBA? Where does he rank there? In my opinion, I think Warren ranks around the 45 to 55 mark in the NBA currently. In the bubble, he's probably a top 10 player, which is absurd to think about, but realistically, he's probably the 40th best player in the league at best. He's not an all-star caliber player yet. I'd say he's a perennial all-star, so close to the level of guys like Tatum and Middleton, but still not exactly there yet. I'd say he's just worse than an all-star snub, just a solid, respectable scorer who can consistently get you a bucket, but still isn't good enough to be a number 1 or 2 option on a championship team. Obviously, that isn't exactly the case right now, but it's been 5 games, so let's not jump the gun here. Overall, TJ Warren's a top 50 player in the NBA, and I wouldn't be too mad if you placed him closer to the 40 mark. That's where I think he realistically ranks in the entire NBA. All in all, these are my thoughts on TJ Warren. He's an elite scorer and solid defender and has maxed out his potential in the NBA restart so far, arguably being the MVP of it, as the Pacers have gone on to win 4 of their first 5 games. Amongst his peers, Warren is the 7th or 8th best small forward in the league and is a top 50 player across the whole NBA currently, and I wouldn't be surprised if he can move up further if he continues to play at the level he's currently on. As I mentioned a little while ago, though Warren has been excellent in the 5 games so far, I don't want to overhype him too much, because again, it's just 5 games. Sure, if he keeps this up throughout the rest of the season, into the playoffs, and the Pacers go on a nice playoff run, then my opinion may change. But right now, I think the ranking I've given him is fair. Again, this can change with some continued excellence by him, but as of right now, that is how good TJ Warren is. Exactly. And that will conclude the video. What do you guys think of this? How good is TJ Warren to you? Where does he rank in your opinion? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to drop it a like and subscribe. But with that being said, I am out. Peace.